Truthfully Speaking Grace is a global podcast dedicated to connecting, celebrating, and inspiring listeners with empowering conversations. Join host Agatha Corbin as she gracefully builds with real people, sharing real stories, and unlocking real enlightening truth. Welcome. This is Truthfully Speaking Grace podcast with your amazing host, Agatha Corbin, giving you real conversation with powerful topics and connecting with real inspirational people from all over the world. So sit back, relax, and let's get this podcast started. Welcome to Truthfully Speaking Grace, Mother's Day edition. I have my special guest. Her name is Cassandra Wolford. She's an author, she's a mom, she's a business owner. She's just one of the baddest young ladies I've ever met. And I'm so thrilled that she's a part of my show today, especially on Mother's Day, because I know she got her family and family time coming. But we wanted to talk about mothers,
Yes.
especially during this pandemic, and how it has affected the mothers and how it has affected the mothers and their families. So Cassandra, would you please tell the audience who you are and why you're here?
Yes, ma'am, I will. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on with you. We met about a month ago and we just had a great connection. So I'm so glad you brought me on. As you said, my name is Cassandra and I am a mother. I'm an author. I'm a business owner. I still have a regular 9-to-5 job, but hopefully not for long by the grace of God.
Yay! Business
I can
owner.
retire. Exactly. That's the goal. So I do have a book and it's called Purpose to Shadows. And first of all, me being a mom, one of the things that made me want to write the book is because there were so many things from my childhood dealing with my own parents and things that I know they dealt with their parents. A lot of traumas, childhood traumas that have been generational curses that have went on and not been healed. And so my recent divorce in my life caused me to deal with a lot of my shadows in my life that I had not healed, that I thought I healed from. And I'm getting to a point where I've gotten to a point already where it's like, I can't move forward like this. In order for me to really be honest about where I am and where I want to go, I have to deal with those traumas, whether they're from my childhood, adulthood, relationships, whatever. I have to put light on those shadows so that way I can heal and move forward to be the best version that I can be for me and my family. So that's what inspired me to write that book.
So let's put a bookmark there about trauma, because me and another colleague and one of my best friends, we talked about the trauma bonding. There's a lot of that. I probably could do a whole show when I get professional on trauma bonding. And I think we're all either are guilty of it at some point in our lives. We just didn't know what it was, or we have family members or friends who are, or kids.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of the young folks, I'm noticing that I used to be in the world of HR and case management. So I saw everybody. And then it came to me, they would just talk, and a lot of it was trauma bonding with other traumatic people and things, and they could never let go of that.
Right.
So let's talk about eventually, if you don't mind sharing how you broke from one of those trauma bonding or traumatic situations. But go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to talk about that. And that's something that I deal with my daughter all the time. We talk about healing and how to break free from those. So we'll definitely reach on that. But also, like I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I have just started my own trucking company where I dispatch for local truck drivers, and I'm in the process of getting my own truck so I can lease it out and get it on the road. And I'm so excited because it's something I've wanted to do for a while. And I'm all about breaking, like I said, those generational curses of poverty and making sure I leave something for my kids to inherit. I'm trying to build a legacy for them. Exactly. Okay. That's exactly what it's about.
So leaving a legacy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Not just the trauma, but an actual legacy, a good legacy.
I'm trying to help each one of them start a business in the process. So I'm all about, like, what are you passionate about? Like, let's figure this out now. But you don't have to have all the answers now, but I want to lay a foundation of, I want your purpose and your passion to come from within. And I want you to know that you can be successful. And you don't have to go and work for somebody else. It doesn't have to be a lifetime of 40 hours a week and you're not happy and you're worried if you're going to get fired. I mean, this is the millennial time now. Everybody's trying to create their own destiny. They're trying to chart their own way. And I want my kids to be a part of that.
Can I ask, how many kids do you have?
3. And my oldest just turned 16. And I took her to Hawaii for a sweet 16. And she was so excited. And we had so much fun. Really, it was for her birthday, but that's been like a dream trip of mine too. So I kind of killed 2 birds with one stone.
Yes, that's how you do it.
Exactly. And so my son is about to be 12, and then my youngest just turned 5. So I'm thinking I'm going to plan a trip I want to go on for each of their sweet 16s. That way I get to travel and celebrate them.
Okay, yes. So you believe in parents, because I was one of those parents too. Now that mine are grown, but wherever I went, whatever vacation or trips, I tried to make sure I included my sons, and they've been in more places as far as being Black men. you know, the most of the kids they went to school with, because at the end of the day, I wanted them to be exposed to other cultures. That it is okay to get away from the urban city, that you can go outside of that. Do you think a lot of parents struggle right now, especially now with the pandemic, of getting their kids outside of where they live? Do you think it's
I think they do.
work?
I think they do struggle with that. And then also, like you said, because of the pandemic, everybody's overwhelmed. Emotionally, mentally, everybody's overwhelmed. So a lot of times when the parents finally do get a break and a reprieve, they want to go somewhere. And it's like they want to go and get some peace and a break from the kids. But I feel like I spent a large part, because I've always been like trying to find my niche and being an entrepreneur, right? So I've started a couple businesses over the years and they didn't go well. And I've been back and forth between entrepreneur and corporate America. And I worked in healthcare for 10 years. And there was a great deal of time. Like I know there was a couple of years straight where I was just working. Like at one point I had 3 jobs. And I was teaching, I was working, and I was going to school. And I was just like, I pretty much only saw my kids when I was coming home to jump in the shower and change for the next job or the next entrepreneur thing. So it got to a point where I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm trying to do all this and build something for them, but they're not reaping the benefits of it. I'm stressed and overworked. So, and I wasn't even traveling. Like I wasn't taking time for myself either. Yeah. So I got to a point where it's like, I have to slow down and realize that I have more time behind me than I do ahead of me. We got to start enjoying life now.
Okay.
And from then on, I started taking, like, we went on a cruise the year before last. We went to Mexico. And my youngest, she's like, Mom, we got to go back to Florida. We got to go back to the beach. And I'm like, every year we're taking a vacation together once or twice a year.
Yes. So you believe in that. And so what could you say to our audience that are in the pandemic with their families, and summer is coming, they want to get out? Some, because of financial reasons, may not be able to do a fabulous trip to Mexico or Hawaii. Right. But could you give a mom, particularly a struggling single mom, some ideas about how to get outside of their comfort zone with their kids for their sanity?
Oh, absolutely. And there's a lot of free resources, honestly. Like I just found out that there's a park in here, not far from me, probably about a 30-minute drive, that used to be like a landing strip or airspace, and they converted it into a park. And there's all kind of like, you can do fishing and there's all kind of things. There's a creek for the kids to play in. So the internet is free. I mean, even if you have to go to McDonald's and sit and look on your phone, there's parks you can go to. There's free activities available in almost every city. You can go and have a picnic. You can go get a jump rope, buy some chalk, play hopscotch. Like, there's a lot of things you can do with your kids to get them out of the house, where you can get some peace of mind, they can get some peace of mind, some fresh air. You're not really around like in close proximity, so you're still social distancing. There's a lot of things you can do to go out and be able to have fun with your kids and just enjoy, you know what I'm saying, each other without being inside those 4 walls of the house.
Yes. Do you remember when, at least I'm probably a little bit older than you, but back in my day, we used to get, we used to get fireflies, lightning bugs, get jars and go out. We used to play freeze tag. out in the backyard, you know, green, red light, green light.
Yeah.
You know,
and my 5-year-old is that free spirit like that. Like, she don't care what it is. She wants to be outside, running, jumping, playing. It can be snowing outside, and she's like, it don't matter. I still want to go outside and play.
Yeah.
She just has that spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's maybe a way for, okay, moms and dads.
Yeah.
But, these are some ways that we can start communicating and at the same time having fun with our kids.
Right. Mm-hmm.
One of the things, as I went and got my physical, the doctor was saying, she was like, wow, you exercise a lot. And I'm like, well, yeah, because when I grew up, my parents made me go outside, and I was the princess. I was spoiled. I was the only girl, but they still made me go outside.
Exactly.
I was quasi still a kind of a tomboy. Where, I was climbing trees and buildings with my nephews and with the guys and riding my bike around. And so I noticed even in my middle age, I still like to go out to those parks. And I had 2 boys, so athletic boys. So it was either do or die. I had to go out. I had to be active with them and keep them motivated and myself motivated. And I wasn't rich. I wasn't wealthy.
Right.
But there are some ways you think that as moms we can do some things to shake it up a little bit. Right.
And that's another thing. If your kids are athletic, go out to the high school or middle school. If they have a track, go race them. Because sometimes you gotta let the kids know you still got it. Sometimes you gotta put on your tennis shoes and you gotta dust them a couple of times.
I did my youngest son, who is still in the city. We worked out. He took me to this dam, to this hill, and I outdid him on one time on the hill.
Right. See, sometimes you gotta let them know.
Athletic is all right, Mom. We're gonna do the hill, and I was like, and I was so happy. I was up there doing the Rocky, like, yes, I did the hill.
Exactly. Yes. And hiking is another fun one that I do. Me and my best friend did it with our kids a couple of years ago after I had my daughter. Actually, that's how I lost weight after I had my daughter. We would hike like 5 to 6 miles. Like, you don't get a lot of signal because you're like in the woods or whatever. But I mean, you're walking, the kids are having fun. You're going up hills, you're seeing animals. It's actually fun outside of when you feel like you're dying, but it's fun.
You gotta do it a few times, moms.
Yeah, you gotta work up to it. Yeah.
You gotta do it a couple times.
And my friend was in the Army, so she'd be trying to hike 10 miles. And I'm like, look, you can get 2 out of me. on any given day, you can get about 2, 3 at the most. But you're talking about 10. We ain't running for our lives out here.
And let mom get a doctor's note. Okay?
Right.
I got my physical. I want to ask the doctor, can I do that many miles?
Absolutely.
This is fun, but it is a fun thing. It is. I think it also is a healthy thing. So let's talk about the pandemic and how it is affecting moms and dads, particularly single moms, because being a single mom of the past, I remember isolation can happen, even prior to the pandemic. So my heart, that now that this has happened, I always think about those single moms during the pandemic and educating their kids, keeping things clean, keeping everybody safe, and fed, and going and mentally going, So can you speak on some of those things?
Yeah, I mean, it does weigh on you, especially mentally and emotionally, because I didn't work at home throughout the entire pandemic. And my job at one point was considered essential. So I wasn't at home like everybody else. Like, I still had to get up and go to work every day. And even when they cut me down to part-time, I still didn't get unemployment when I was part-time. So not only was I still trying to go to work, at one point I was part-time. So I was living on half of my salary for a while. So I was struggling financially because I couldn't get benefits, couldn't get unemployment, but I was only making half of my salary, but I still had all of my bills to pay. So that was frustrating and hard. And so I'm struggling financially, I'm struggling mentally, I'm struggling emotionally because I feel like a failure. And it didn't seem like there was ever an end in sight. And then when I got back to full time, it was like, well, now I'm back to the grind, but now I'm back to my kids are at home. They're doing school online. They need help. I can't be there with them.
Yeah.
And it's not my daughter's job to parent her brother. And he's like, I ain't nobody over my shoulder watching me. I don't feel like get up to do my schoolwork. I'm just going to go in and sit through my alarm. I don't really care. So the teachers are like, your son's not getting on doing his work. And I'm like, I get it. And I want him to, be successful, but it's like, I still have to work. My daughter still has to learn. So I'm trying to find somewhere he can go where somebody can hold him accountable. Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of moving pieces, and it was hard, not just for me, but it was hard for my kids.
Yeah.
Because they had to change from their routine. So where he flourished in an environment where he had accountability and he had somebody to make sure he stayed on task, when he didn't have that discipline and that structure, he was struggling.
Yeah.
And my daughter was used to being athletic. And even though she maintained her schoolwork, mentally, she was just like, I'm depressed. Like, I don't have that athletic outlet anymore. So what can I do? Where can I go? And I'm like, well, I want you to stay in the house and be safe while I'm at work. So you can't be outside. I don't want you to walk around the neighborhood if I'm not at home. So everybody took a hit. Yeah. So I put us all in therapy. Honestly, I put me and my kids in therapy because I'm like, we need somebody to talk to. We need to figure out what our new normal is.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of parents sometimes tend to think, well, oh, they're just kids. They don't have anything going on, but they do. Our babies have things they need to get off their chest. They have things they struggle with just like everybody else.
So, okay, then we're going to pick up about that trauma. So let's talk about that and legacy, particularly for African-American families. Do you think, based on the way it was back in the day, where we didn't talk about therapy, we didn't talk about breaking, because all, to me, curses is some traumatic, something that hit that family or that situation, and nobody wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, nobody
wanted to talk. What goes on in this house stays in this house. And so the kids jacked up, the mama jacked up, the dad, everybody jacked up, and nobody talking about it.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
And so now let's get to this generation, to where we're at now. So we have adults who are still holding on to a lot of trauma, not talking about it, never got therapy. And then they had children, and then we had children. And so at some point we have to talk about it, and it's okay to talk about it with someone professional. I thank you for saying that, because I encourage that, particularly for single moms. You are not Superwoman. Take the cape off and go get the help.
Yeah. Because we don't have all the answers. I mean, I always encourage my kids, like, I want you to come and talk to me, because if I don't know, I can't help you. So I want you to be open. I want you to talk to me, but sometimes I don't have all the answers. And as hard as that is for me to admit, I want you to still be able to get the help you need. So if I got to go to a therapist or a specialist, and I made sure I asked up front, no offense to anybody, but is the therapist Black? I need a Black woman for my daughter. I need a Black son for a Black male for my son. Because I want to make sure they talk to somebody who can relate to them and who understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
So that was important to me.
Yes. Yes.
And I think, I do believe that it helped them as well, because like I said, sometimes I don't have all the answers. There may be things that even I'm doing wrong. They might not want to tell me, like, Mom, I don't like when you do this. But when I have my weekly, roundup meetings with the therapist, and we're discussing what's been going on and how they're feeling, the ways I can help, then I'm like, okay, well, is there anything I'm doing wrong? What can I do better?
All right. And you're thriving. It's not perfect, but you're thriving.
No, it's not perfect, but yes, we're thriving. I mean, like I said, I always encourage open communication, because the fact of the matter is that, and this may sound morbid, but I had a friend of mine, my god sister, her mother passed away when we were like 9 or 10 years old. And that had a profound impact on me, because that was really my first experience seeing somebody my age lose their mom. And that was like a reality check that, hey, it's not guaranteed your mom is going to live to be 80 or 90 years old and see you grow up and see your kids' grow up. Like, that's not promised to anybody. Yeah. I can't imagine, I'm 35. I can't imagine my mom not being here, and she's still alive. So at 10 years old, you can't imagine your mom like not coming home anymore to do your hair, to help you get ready for church. Like, you just can't imagine those things. So with my kids, I always try to prepare them for the fact that mom might not be here tomorrow. Yeah. So I need to prepare you as much as possible, because the reality of it is the world won't feel sorry for you if I die tomorrow. Ooh. Nobody's going to be like, let me take it easy on you because your mom's not here. You still have a responsibility to go out into the world and be the best that you can be, to thrive, to be kind, to help other people, and to fulfill your purpose, whether I'm here or not.
Purpose. That's part of your whole mantra in your book.
Yes.
Talk about that. Let's talk about, explain what made you come up with that title and the title of your ministry, the purpose. Talk about that.
Honestly, like I said, a lot of it revolved around my divorce. I mean, I had gotten to a point where, like I said, I had tried different businesses and I had switched from healthcare to different, fields and just trying to find my way. I mean, I at one point had gotten so desperate, I was literally on the internet and I was typing in like, God, what is my purpose? Like, I don't know why. I just expected for the internet to just be like, God said, this is your purpose. But I didn't know. Like, I just felt so lost and so stuck. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, God, if you just show me what I'm supposed to be here for, I promise I'll do it. Like, just show me what it is you want me to do and I'll do it. Yeah. But right now I just feel stuck and I don't know which way to go and nothing seems to be working in my favor. And so going through my divorce, it was like, okay, it's easy to point the finger at somebody else and be like, well, he didn't do this right and he didn't do that right. And this is why it's not working. So it took a lot.
In divorce or relationship, I remember they always said, even my mom and dad said, it's always his side, her side, and then the truth.
Exactly. Yeah. And having been in a relationship before, well, it really was his fault. And I left because he really was cheating. In this relationship, it was like, okay, this is something different. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not really one person's fault because I can be honest enough to admit where I went wrong and I know what I did wrong, but I can also see what he did wrong. But it's like, I don't want to focus on what it is he's doing. I need to find my way because this isn't something that I want to keep repeating. I don't want to be back here again. Like, okay, well, that's another relationship down the drain. I don't want to keep doing this. Yeah, I want to figure out where I'm supposed to be because I'm out of alignment right now. So I need to get back in line and figure out where I'm going so I can get there and make sure that me and my kids are leaving a legacy. And that's what got me on the path to finding purpose and doing my shadow work.
Okay. So talk about your book.
That's where it came from. The purpose of shadows. I mean, people would always which I didn't initially tell people that I was getting divorced because number one, I'm a very private person. But obviously, people started asking questions or things like that, and so I got to a point where it was like, well, what happened? I'm like, it doesn't matter what happened. The fact of the matter is, I'm trying to figure out myself. I don't want to go into what he did wrong and what I did and die. I don't want to do that anymore. It doesn't matter. This is where we are now. How can I be better going forward? So that's where I came up with the idea for the book because I had to do a lot of self-examination. I had to sit with a lot of uncomfortable feelings and I had to tell a lot of hard truths about myself. It was an internal reflection of where I am, how I got to be in this place and how I wanted to be different. So I had to change my mindset, change my accents, change my attitude. And it was hard because I'm one of those people where it's like, I think I'm right because most of the time I end up being right. So a lot of people are like, you always think you're right. You always want to be right. Well, I end up being right. So yes, I'm right. But then there's times I have to sit back and be like, no, you kind of wrong. And you got to be honest about it. You're wrong. As much as I don't want to hear it, you're wrong.
You're not perfect and you don't know everything? What? Right. But you know what? Let me ask, because we're talking, this is good because I'm a single mom. Of course, that means I've had past failed relationship back in the day. I don't want to say failed. I would say it just didn't work at that time, but they're wonderful fathers.
Yeah.
Which they are. Hallelujah. But don't you think that being the single mom, we get into this pattern because it's our world that we do unconsciously think we are right a lot of times when it comes to our kids? Because again, I don't think people understand. Sometimes we live a life of seclusion in a sense, in our own little island because, well, I used to be a control freak. Go figure. And control freaks.
I can't imagine that.
Imagine that. Mr. gave the control.
Right.
And so we want to control the narrative. We want to control everything. And even when we get outside of our home and our kids' school and business and job and other family members and baby daddies and their family. Because I had to manage. People are just like, oh my God, how did you do that? First of all, the grace of a living God. Christ Jesus as my savior, okay, to get through two sets of families with two separate, and still harmonize to raise these two phenomenal young men, Black men, you know what I mean? And on the other side of that is my mental health, because then I got into my own world, and where God had to do some things in my life to push me out of that island. You know what I mean? Don't you think we as single moms, or particularly moms, and I can only speak as a Black mom, we create an island because it for us is controllable. I can control that narrative, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, I've always been a loner. I mean, my mom there's 8 of us, and I'm the oldest girl. Yeah, I'm the oldest girl, and I have one older brother, but I still tell people I'm older than him because girls are more mature anyway. So I always say I'm the oldest kid, period. But always having to be the responsible one, and the one everybody looks up to, and the one everybody comes to, and then always being such a loner when it comes to me and my kids. Like, honestly, I'm one of those, I go to work and I go home. I was never a big partier, never a big club goer. I mean, every now and then, but it wasn't a regular thing. I was always at home. I was always at work. That's just how I was. So feeling like I always had to be the one controlling the ship when it came to me and my kids and making sure we were okay. And then with my siblings, I had to be the responsible one. So it's always been that I had to be in charge. So it was a hard thing for me to let somebody else try and take control and then admit when I was wrong, because it's like, well, I got to be the one driving, so I can't afford to be wrong.
There you go.
Because if I'm wrong, then everything goes to hell.
They don't understand. There you go.
Yeah.
I feel you. So I thought it was just me until you talk to other moms. And even in my world, even the higher up in position or professionalism or community or politics, because I know them all, and I've walked in all of those stilettos or shoes, regular shoes. It's just something in us, particularly for the Black woman, because we have that, and people don't understand that extra pressure, because I have to be a certain way in my island when you're in corporate America.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. We're not allowed to be angry. We're not allowed to speak our mind because we're either a threat, and people don't understand. You gotta be in a different mindset at your job. Yeah. When you're at home, you can flow. And you can talk and tell your knucklehead son, okay, you know what?
Yes, absolutely.
Me and you. You can't do that at ABC Company. You know what I mean? And so I wanted you to us to have that free conversation so other mothers, particularly Black mothers, we understand it, but it doesn't mean that you have to stay there. There's healing. There's other. Talk to your families. Talk to your support system. Create one. If you don't have one, create one. A positive one, not other little. That's a whole nother podcast. Toxic relationship with toxic women and toxic men. That's just going to bring more hell in your life. Right. But allow God to flow with people in your life that can add value and add what they think. And sometimes it is from another culture. You have a Caucasian friend, Missy, Bitsy, and them having the same problem. It just looks a little different. You know what I mean? And find out what's going on else out there, or who can listen or help or add some value. Like they said, play dates. Do play dates with your kids and another mom, to try to, talk about it, right? At least synergize with somebody else. Do you think a lot of the moms, I did know this because I even did it myself, even though my kids again are grown and one is in school and one is on the other side of the country, but I did Zoom with a lot of friends. Do you think a lot of the moms kind of created their clubs to kind of talk?
Yeah, and I know me and my friends did it actually. Me and my best friend and my god cousin and one of our friends from childhood, we started off on Clubhouse, and then we had to switch to Zoom calls because everybody wasn't on Clubhouse because it's just for iPhone users. But we created a group in there called Healing the Melanated Soul. And of course it was originally intended just for us, but then we had, other people and nationalities come in, and we want everybody to get healing. We don't discriminate, so we didn't care. And we even had a couple of times where we allowed men to come in, but it was just a place where you can go and rant about, and we didn't just rant, but you can go and get it off your chest if you were having a hard time, things you were struggling with during this pandemic. And then we came up with ways to give each other advice on how to heal and move forward. It wasn't just staying in that angry place of this is going bad and I hate it. It's expressing how angry you are at the way things are that we can't control, but then coming up with ideas to move forward in healing and in progress and not be stuck in that angry, hurtful place. And we talked about everything.
So how long, so is it still going on?
Yes, and we're on a break right now only because I've been sick, because I've had some health problems and I've been at the hospital, and then one of the girls shattered her ankle. So we've been on a break for like 2 weeks, but we were going strong for a while, and we were having people coming on that Zoom, and we had people who came in and got healing. I mean, they were able to express things that have been, like you said, childhood traumas they've been holding on to for years. I actually realized something about my childhood that I thought I had healed, that I realized I've only been suppressing, just from having these open dialogue conversations with somebody who understands, somebody who's been there.
Yeah.
So it helps. Even if you don't have a tribe of your own, find a way to create one. The power of social media right now is incredible. You can literally create your own safe spaces. And there are people out there who can connect with you through a telephone, through the internet. It's so easy to do.
Yes. And so that's one of the ways that we can communicate, you're saying, particularly for our moms. Mm-hmm. So you're not just sitting in your home or your apartment or wherever you're at, feeling like this homework. Uh-huh. What am I supposed to do with this? This kid, what am I supposed to do with this? And there's others. There's other people out there that's seeking that same type of outlet. Just be safe about it, maybe, because, let me put my PSA, be safe about it, do your homework, because there are predators. Yeah. But please do your homework, moms. But there are some safe ways of communicating to others and your other family members, I think some people, I've also heard a lot of women, particularly the moms, are reconnecting with people in other parts of the country now because they all can Zoom or FaceTime or, text or call it, because they all had time now to sit down and really talk to one another. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And those connections matter. I mean, even if it's a connection that you haven't, linked up with somebody in like 5-10 years, just to reconnect and have those conversations, it matters. It feels like a piece of you is connecting to somebody, and that a piece of you that's, that's been missing is reconnected again. So those are good. These are a good time to make those connections again.
Okay. All righty. So before we go, what are 3 takeaways that you want to say to our moms, to our mommies out there, that you want to give to them as a gift, some type of word of encouragement or action? I'm big on that. I'm action oriented. So if there's something in there too about an action that they can do.
Okay. Well, the first thing is a word of encouragement is be patient with yourself. Everybody's having a hard time right now. None of us, I know some people are making it seem like they're just out here living their best life in this pandemic, but I promise you, nobody has it all together. Nobody is just zooming through this unscathed. Everybody in some way, shape, or form has been touched by this, is struggling through this mentally, physically, emotionally. It's affected all of us in a certain way.
And financially.
Exactly, especially financially. So be patient with yourself. If things have gotten off track to where they used to be, you're not able to go out and go eat fast food all the time or go travel as much as you used to, be patient with yourself. It's everybody. It's not just you. You're not a failure. You haven't done anything wrong. This is something that nobody can control. So be patient with yourself. Be patient with your children, especially right now, because they don't have their same outlet. And I think it's important that we realize that, again, they're just miniature human beings. They have issues and disappointments, and they have, doubts and demons eating away at them the same way we do. And I don't think we give our children enough credit for actually being human. We like to act like they're just like this little thing we can control, this little person we can control, and you do what I say when I say do it, and that's all there is to it. And that's not the case. They need time and space to vent and be alone and not hear you fussing at them to do the dishes. They're just like we are. Think back to when you were a kid. There were times where you might have been going through something internally and your mom was coming and fussing at you. It's like, well, I see it move right now. I don't care what you're doing. And you might have just needed a moment because you were going through something. So just remember that they're human just like we are. And they need a minute. So be patient with yourself and be patient with these babies. Because again, we don't want to cause them emotional trauma that they can't come back from later. We want to make sure that we're pushing purposeful children and healed children, emotionally mature children out into the world, so they can produce and walk in their purpose and thrive the same way we are. We don't want them to be 40 years old trying to heal their emotional trauma because their parents didn't listen and take into account that they had any.
Yeah.
So that's my first thing. The second thing would be find some peace. It's so easy to point out everything that's wrong in the world and to focus on all the negative. Find the peace in the little things. Early in the morning, I did not used to be a morning person. I used to hate waking up in the morning because I function better at night. Get up early in the morning, enjoy the sunrises, that fresh air in the morning when nobody's out, the cars aren't polluting the air. Go out and walk in that, bask in that. I promise it will help set the tone for the rest of your day.
I know that. Yeah, it does. It makes a difference.
It does.
Walks at the end of the
day.
Mm-hmm. One of those. Yes. Get physical.
Yes, absolutely. Because health is important. We didn't take a lot of time to focus on health before. And I think that's part of the reason why we're in this pandemic, because simple things like taking your vitamin D, your vitamin C, that stuff matters. I'm not one of those people where it's like, I'm not one of those people where it's like, well, don't trust the vaccine, don't never take it. If it can help, whatever it takes to help. But there are certain things you can do to be proactive about your health before you have to go to those extremes, like taking your vitamins, drinking your water, making sure you're exercising 30 minutes a day.
Yep.
You spend 15 minutes walking around, going from the bathroom to the couch easily in a day. If you can do that twice, that's 30 minutes of exercise. And that's all it takes every day.
Every day. Yeah.
The little things matter. I always say that taking your vitamins and exercising is like you're going to war and somebody builds a fort around you and says, this will help protect you. Like the enemy might get over this wall, but it'll help so they won't get over it that fast. Versus somebody saying, you don't have any protection, but I'm gonna go ahead and stab you in case you get stabbed with a sword later. You'll know how it feels, and that offers you protection. Doesn't make any sense. Do the little things to help build your immune system so that way you're already in a healthy place if you do get sick.
Yes. Very good. And what other thing, what kind of action could a mom do to get her purpose or to know her purpose?
Meditate and do your shadow work. Meditate, because a lot of people, and I'm not anti-religious, I'm just more spiritual than I am religious. I've heard a lot of people over the years say, well, God told me to tell you, you know what I'm saying, that people will be quick to come and try and speak a word into your life. God will speak to you the same way he will speak to a pastor or a minister or a deacon, but you got to spend time with him. You have to get to know your own voice and be secure in who you are so you can hear him clearly, because he'll talk to you.
Yes, he will.
But you gotta be open to hearing him. So you got to spend time with yourself. You got to get in tune with yourself and spend time with yourself so you can be open to hearing him.
Amen.
And once you begin to trust yourself and get in tune with yourself, you can hear him crystal clear and he'll tell you what he wants you to do, but you got to heal those broken places. He'll still use you, but you got to heal, because a lot of times you'll find your purpose from your trauma. You'll find your purpose from your healing.
Amen. All right, ladies. All right, moms. Cassandra just put us on a mission on finding our purpose, and that means speaking grace.
Exactly.
One thing about God I love about him, he's patient.
Yes.
He's all
and
knowing.
You have to be patient when it comes to finding your purpose, because it's not a quick thing. You're not going to find it right away. You have to be patient.
And like you said, open to hear him.
Yes.
Because sometimes moms, he can put you out of your comfort zone, even with your kids. Mm-hmm. Even if your kids are still at home, and your husband, and it's a whole big family thing. You still have to carve out that time for you and God to find out who you are with your purpose. You're not a good wife. You're not a good mom. You're not going to be a great BFF if you lose yourself. If you lose who you are and your purpose and what God has for you.
That's right.
I always say, when my Boaz find me, he will find me already whole.
That's right.
Why women say, well, I'll go get no, you're already whole. He's just going to give you someone to be a companion with. He whole, you're whole.
That's
like
right.
We want our children whole. They're whole in their lives. So be open to hear God for that purpose. I have enjoyed this podcast. This is one of the best ones because I needed someone to be that real and that open. And thank you for allowing us into your life. Tell your 3 babies, or 3 young ones. I know some, but I ain't no baby. But to us,
my 5-year-old thinks she's 16. She wants to be old so bad. She's 5, but she's always telling her sister, like, well, your friends are my friends, and I'm coming to your sleepovers, and I'm coming to your parties. Like, she wants to be a teenager so bad.
She's a little ma'am.
She is, absolutely. She's like, why couldn't I have been born 16 years ago?
Oh, so tell her to slow enjoy being young, man.
Yes.
Well, I thank you, Cassandra. Again, tell them what's your website, the address to your website and contact information if they want to get more information about your book and your business.
Absolutely. So my website is www.pushforpurpose.com. You can go there. My book is on there. There's an intro to shadow work, which is called Introduction or Light to Shadow. So it talks about introducing you to how you go about finding or casting a light on those shadows. And then the other book is Purpose to Shadows. So it tells you how to find purpose from your shadow work. And then there's other motivational books on there. There's affirmation books on there. I also have a link to my trucking on there. And then on Sundays, you can find me on Facebook. I do a podcast called Melanated Insights Podcast with my co-host, Brittany. And we talk about everything from politics to social causes to community causes. I mean, we talk about everything on there. Sometimes that gets a little bit heated, but that is on Sin Digital Media. We have a Facebook page, so you can find us on there. We record every Sunday. We're live on Facebook at 5:30 p.m. And that's it. You can go to the website and find the book, and there's links to the podcast and everything on the website. I got blogs on there. So everything you want to know is on the website.
Okay, audience. So that means she's attainable. She's someone to be on the watch for. Truthfully Speaking, Grace podcast loves you, Cassandra. And we're going to make sure that we get this information out as we put it out to the world. And we're looking to have you again later on this year, maybe. And maybe we can do some joint efforts with your podcast. But
absolutely. Because I'll have another book coming out soon called P.S. I Love You. So that'll be coming out probably beginning of next year.
All right. Okay. Can't wait. For Cassandra Wolford, we thank you. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Love you too.
And tell your kids thank you for allowing me to borrow you for about an hour. Okay.
I sure will. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, audience. Have a wonderful holiday.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Truthfully Speaking Grace podcast. Stay tuned for another episode with more real conversations, celebrating real and inspiring people from all around the world.